What did the SRG learn from Salesology this year? What did they get out of it?
I think the staffing and recruiting group learned a lot with our partnership with Jay Hughes and Salesology. I think one of the first things we looked at and what is going to be different about 2010, how are we going to bounce as a unit, and it really looked at how do we really partner with our customers and become sales consultants? How do we really kind of identify why we exist and help them identify problems and solutions rather than just product marketing? And I think one of the biggest gaps we had to get there was we didn't really know all the different questions to ask to get to that level 5 type of questioning skills to understand what are the real impacts based in their business and where can we really show some differences. And I think partnering with Jay, us all investing in ourselves and saying, we are going to get better, we are going to become consultants, we are going to own this space, we were able to not only get deals faster, but the complexity of deals has continued to increase. So when I started, I've been measuring Jay on the amount of new deals, as well as the complexity of deals in our new core growth. Both of them are off the chart. So I think Salesology has been a great partnership for this year, and I look forward to continuing it into 2011.
Salesology 2010. What was your biggest takeaway, and how did you apply it to your business?
Well, my biggest takeaway from Salesology was really learning that sales is more than just a numbers game, and it can really be treated more as a science than anything else. And I had a couple of real good takeaways that's helped me not only be more productive with my business, but also help improve some of my ratios. It all started with, as far as the productivity goes, is with just the magic hello. It's amazing how much you can learn just by when you take a step back and you realize how much information you can get just from listening how somebody answers the phone and how someone says hello. A quick short hello means kind of deliver that impact statement, set the appointment, and move on. Maybe a slower, more gradual, friendly hello means maybe let your personality come out a little bit, take some time to get that person on your side, and then schedule the appointment and move on. Using those things kind of help me overall just improve my ratios by making sure you're saying the right types of things to the right people.
What did you learn in Salesology in 2010, and how did you apply it to your business?
Yeah, Jay has been a huge benefit to me personally. When I first started in the group about 5 or 6 months ago, we started full force, or I was full force into the DISC profile and the DISC assessments. So what I learned from that personally on hand, I took away with one of my accounts. The VP of one of my accounts, we were up for a big renewal because I took over the account. He, in such a short time frame, I had to really dive deep into it basically, and with him I learned that he was a high C, and what that meant for him is that he needed numbers and stats and everything like that. And so what I was able to do for that particular account is take that knowledge and give him basically a huge account review, but I went even deeper into it and gave it to him, and I knowing that I'm a high D, I had to sit back and just kind of let him take over, let him read over all the stats and basically form his own conclusions with that. So when it came time for renewal in September, he basically sold himself by looking at all the stats, but me being a high D, I constantly wanted to push information on him, but I realized that I needed to sit back, let him take over control of the account and the renewal himself, and make sure that he was able to take those numbers and take control, and basically he renewed himself. So that's how I was able to take it over.
What did you learn in Salesology this year, and how did you apply it to your business?
Each training that I did with Jay was so beneficial, and each thing actually compounded on the next training. But the one thing I took away that's resonating in my mind right now is actually the persuasion course that we took. I sat down with Jay after we took the one training, spent a half hour with him, went over the top 10 accounts I want to get on either in December or January, and how I'm going to attack them. These accounts I actually have been trying to get all year, haven't been successful in getting them on the phone or completing a full training with me. So what we actually did is put together a course and a series of outreach programs we're going to get to them, and I was able to close 3 out of the 4 ones I tried this month, only in the first 6 days of this month, by utilizing his persuasion techniques and being actually a partner to these clients, giving them information that's pertinent to their industry, and also hitting a back seat and not trying to sell them right away, but to be a resource to them.
Mark, how did Salesology benefit your team this year?
Salesology gave us more time this year. If you look at the book of business that we had a lot more accounts that we were working. So we need to be smarter with the time that we spent with each account. So we look at upfront contracts, really identifying customers that are going to spend the time and the money with us so we can qualify the customers that way. And then more importantly, we were able to ask some stronger questions when we were identifying the pain and then monetizing it to make sure that we are giving that customer the right solution, but also tying it back to their business.
Megan, what was your biggest takeaway from Salesology this year, and what were the results in your business?
I actually used Jay Hughes' training for DISC to profile out buyers and also create an effective strategy for selling and messaging to CTG, which recently resulted in a 74K upsell. The CTG buyers were D. They were very extroverted and they liked to hear results and, hear data. So what I did was I used his training. He gave us a general strategy for selling to Ds, which is show potential results. And then he also let us know why they make buying decisions. And usually for Ds, that's because they want to know how that product is going to help them in their business. So I spent the majority of my time gathering results from this past year. And I also created an interim trial of products and services that I was going to pitch during the renewal time. And because of this trial, that opened the door for me to give data instead of just selling on concepts, and also it gave the buyers the opportunity to understand how these products are going to impact their bottom line this next year. So definitely using that DISC training has helped me with that renewal, and it made the buyer's decision a lot easier.
What was your biggest takeaway from Salesology?
My biggest takeaway from Salesology was upfront contracts. It really helped me this year to pull through trials. In fact, one of my accounts asked for a secondary trial, and previously they had been going from trial to trial, and by setting the upfront contract that we were going to convert to an annual after the trial was up, we were able to successfully convert the account to over $100,000.
Mark, what did your team get out of Salesology this year?
What we got out of Salesology this year is that Jay has a ton of energy and drinks a lot of Red Bull. Just kidding, Jay. Jay brought a lot of rich content to our team this year. One of the things that we've been able to focus in on is really getting in and utilizing the DISC profiles. By going into some of the accounts that have been a challenge for us in the past and changing the conversation, we've really been able to drive positive results. One of the accounts that I look at is the Bartech group. In the past, we haven't necessarily messaged to that buyer in the most effective way. By going in this year and really changing our approach to focus more on the numbers, knowing that he's a C buyer, we were able to add $60,000 in contract value. And in fact, they just called us back and we'll probably be adding another $60,000 to that contract value moving forward.
Jonathan, what was your biggest takeaway from Salesology this year?
Hi, Jay. How are you? My biggest takeaway, I think the biggest takeaway for everybody in Salesology, is that we've already got a proven, successful process, and that we didn't have to change everything just because we had a new trainer. Instead, if you think about it, really what we did is just kind of refocus on all the parts of our process that we were already doing, and already doing well. But just by focusing a little bit more on each one and tweaking a few things here and there, we were able to make each part of it, each component, more successful for everybody. So instead of making this huge overhaul or change in everything we were doing, we just tweaked little by little and showed a lot more success from everybody. So thank you all for participating, Jay and all the reps for buying in and your participation.